Bernardo Arevalo from the Semilla movement has been elected president of Guatemala, obtaining 58.4% of the votes in the nation's runoff. In Ecuador, citizen revolution movement Luisa Gonzalez has become the only woman to win the first round of a presidential election and will face businessman Daniel Noboa in the country's runoff. In a violent operation, Israeli occupation forces had besieged thousands of Palestinian civilians in Hebron. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. With 100% of the tallies counted and after declaration for the Supreme Court, Bernardo Arevalo is the country's new president-elect. The Semilla movement has obtained 58.4% of the total votes, winning over the National Unity of Hope candidate Sandra Torres, who had 37.21% of the votes. After the announcement by the electoral body, the Semilla movement formula, made up of the 64-year-old academic and Karin Herrera, addressed the country. Arevalo did not avoid comments referring to the Police Prosecutor's Office, which has already warned the organization of new procedures. In Guatemala, several authorities have congratulated Bernardo Arevalo of the Cid Movement Party on his victory in the second round of the presidential elections. The Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador congratulated the Guatemalan people and the winning couple, predicting a time of humanism and justice. The Honduran President Xiomara Castro has also done so, and the President of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, did the same, remembering the father of the winning candidate and the winner and voting for the Central American unity. In the same tone, the Venezuela executive, through his Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ivan Gil, congratulated that Arevalo Herrera binomial and reiterated his willingness to work constructively and respectfully for Latin American unity. In a historic event in Ecuador, Luisa Gonzalez, a candidate of the Citizen Revolution movement, has become the only woman to win the first round of a presidential election so far after Sunday's election day. With more than 92% of the votes counted, the candidate for the Citizen Revolution wins with 33.29% of the votes and will face the right-wing party Democratic Alliance led by the businessman Daniel Noboa in the runoff next October 15. Noboa obtained 23.67% of the votes, and according to the National Electoral Council, 80% of the electoral roll participated in the election day in a process marked by the inconveniences registered to exercise the vote abroad. In Ecuador, the presidential candidate for the Citizen Revolution movement, Luisa Gonzalez, demanded that the National Electoral Council repeat the votes abroad.
That elections be reviewed and rerun in Europe because they cannot deny democracy to our migrants. They have already denied them everything because they cannot take away the right to vote. To tell them we are going with faith and hope together with Andrés, together with the Citizens' Revolution, we are going to build that dignified homeland, that safe homeland, that homeland of peace, of love, of tranquility, so that you can return to this your home, your Ecuador, with your families and not break anymore.
Likewise, Luisa Gonzalez affirmed that the assassination of Fernando Villavicencio changed the political scenario in Ecuador.
As a woman, as a citizens' revolution, we have had attacks of all kinds. There was a dirty campaign against us, attack us as usual, slander, messed with our families, attack me as a woman, everyone, and finally a change of scenario with the murder of a candidate. Murder that is not clarified of why it was and of those who were the architects. But all Ecuadorians know that from that murder changed the political scenario.
The president of Ecuador's National Electoral Council, Diana Atmant, affirmed that the election day in the country took place in peace.
We would like to reiterate that this has been a very peaceful day for democracy in Ecuador, thanks to the work of the armed forces and the national police. Here with us are the delegates from political organizations and the international observers. who have accompanied this process. The country is grateful to them for having bear witness of a democratic day in which they have confirmed the efficient and transparent work of more than 40,000 electoral officials who have fulfilled a patriotic and civic duty in the midst of very difficult circumstances and who had to organize these elections in a record time of 90 days.
Ecuador's Electoral Council President Diana Tomai said the voting in the United States and Canada will be ended at 9 p.m. Ecuadorian time.
Finally, we want to clarify and let the Ecuadorian people know that in some countries in Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa, voting has concluded. However, in the United States and Canada, this process will run until 9 p.m. Ecuadorian time. Same for Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Phoenix, as well as for some countries in Central America. This by virtue of what the law dictates for electoral day in those countries in that time zone I have mentioned.
In Haiti, more than 2,400 deaths from violence has been recorded from January 1st to August 15th of this year. The death toll from extreme brutality by gangs in Haiti between January and mid-August are rising to around 2,439, according to a report released Friday by the United Nations. During this period, another 902 people were injured and 951 have been kidnapped. Amid the rise, widespread violence led to a combination of factors, including the political instability and the economic crisis the country is going through. The spokesperson for the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Rabina Shamdasani, reiterated the UN's calls for urgent security action to send a multinational force to support the Haitian police. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, new days, and more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Russia, the anti-aircraft defense managed to neutralize the Ukrainian kamikaze drone attack on a military unit near the settlement of Novokashitin. The territory's governor, Vasily Gulovev, reported that the radio electronic warfare system worked effectively and managed to shut down the three unmanned aerial vehicles launched from Ukrainian-controlled territory. He also noted that the two of the drones were shot down in a military unit in the city of Kamesk, and the third was found about a kilometer from the town of Oshatin, and the official added that the incident caused no structural damage and no casualties or injuries were reported. On Sunday, Russia's space agency said that preliminary data indicates that the automatic Luna 25 spacecraft might have crashed into the moon. Earlier, Roscosmos agency had reported an emergency as the spacecraft tried to enter pre-landing orbit ahead of a planned Monday landing. Roscosmos lost contact with the unmanned spacecraft, and efforts to locate it and establishing communications with it on August 19 and 20 yielded zero results. Moscow was hoping to make history in a race with the first country to make a soft landing on the moon-sized South Pole. The agency added that a special interdepartmental commission is already investigating the cause of the Russian lunar spacecraft crash. Spanish authorities confirmed on Sunday that firefighters made progress in their fight against the wildfire regime in Tenerife. Local officials added that so far the fire has a perimeter of 70 kilometers and it has devastated 8,400 hectares, just over 4% of the total area of Tenerife, and have forced the evacuation of more than 12,000 people. The fire started on Tuesday in a mountainous area of northeast Tenerife and quickly became the largest in the history of the Canary Island. Monse Roman, technical head of the operation, said the firefighters' nighttime operation focused mainly on defending infrastructure and homes on the northern flank of the fire. Roman added that there had been no further evacuations or confinement orders.
And of course we are scared because we don't know what's happening, right? Everyone's saying something, but like a real, I don't know, we don't have news, we don't have television here, so I don't see that. But I'm hopeful that everything will be okay. Of course, that's a little bit scary to see the fire and smoke, but I know it's in forest, and I know that everyone will do everything to keep it down, and yes. So I hope that more information will come and we will know better.
I come here for holiday and has been here for around 2 weeks, but then all of a sudden the fire came up and then it seems to spread very quickly in the first 24 hours, and it's covered a large area. And we were staying somewhere near Tacoronte. So before the fire, it was not on our direction, but last night the wind was very strong and the direction changed, and it seems the fire starts to spread.
Authorities in Greece on Sunday reported that at least 8 people were injured during the forest fire raging in the northeastern city of Alexandroupolis. The official report added that among the injured are 7 firefighters and a volunteer who were affected during the work to mitigate the flames. The injured were taken to the nearest hospital in the area to be treated for burns and respiratory problems. Greek authorities also reported that at least 12,000 localities have been evacuated because the flames have destroyed homes and other infrastructure. The passage of Tropical Storm Hilary has left the municipality of San Felipe in Baja California in the northwest of Mexico isolated. There were no fatalities, but there was damage to the facades of businesses due to the strong winds. At least 100 people, including adults and minors, were rescued from their homes and taken to temporary shelters. For 21 hours between Saturday and Sunday, there was no communication via internet, cellular, and fixed telephony. The signal returned at 3 o'clock this Sunday morning, although intermittently the rainwater that accumulates in the northern and southern part of the seawall was pumped to the sea by means of 10 pumps that have been installed and have channeled the liquid at a rate of 60 liters per second. In Australia, Spain's women's national football team won the 2023 FIFA Gold Cup after beating England. In a match played on Sunday, the Spanish women positioned themselves as world champions with the only goal of the match scored by Olga Carmona. This is the first-time victory for the women's national team, and they are now on par with the men's team, who also won the world title at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. England captain Mila Bryce said the defeat was really hard to take. Spain's 1-0 victory over England is a football miracle. It is an unforgettable moment because Spain has been built in a short time, in less than a decade, and is growing where there was nothing before. TeleSUR English launches its own videos on demand sites for you to go and revisit our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the double corner in our website homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. Now we have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In a violent operation in Hebron on Monday, alleged Israeli occupation forces have besieged thousands of Palestinian civilians by air and land. In the morning hours, a shooting was reported in this locality of the occupied West Bank. According to Israeli sources, one alleged settler is reported dead and another seriously wounded. According to the Imagine Baby at an ambulance service, the dead is a woman, and the occupying forces have imposed a cordon of complete subjugation on the civilian population and not offer new reinforcements for the area. While they're reviewing the security cameras at the site, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir demands emergency security cabinet from Premier Benjamin Netanyahu. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel arrived on Sunday in Angola to complete an official visit to the African country. At Ecuador de Fevereiro International Airport, the president was received by the Angolan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tete Antonio, and the island's ambassador to this African nation, Esther Armenteros. Local media have echoed the visit of Cuban head of states, which the press has described as a further step in strengthening bilateral cooperation. According to the Angolan press agency, during his stay in Luanda, the president will hold talks with his counterpart João Lourenço and will address the National Assembly and is expected to sign several agreements. Cuba and Angola maintain historical ties of friendship and solidarity. The military chief of the Nigerian National Homeland Defense Council, General Abdulrahman Chiani, warned the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, of a country's military response capacity. The junta's leader addressed the country after holding meetings with ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs and Peace, Adel Fatou Moussa. Although he ratified that the intention is not to seize power and that there will be a transition that will not last more than 3 years, he assured that attacking Niger militarily will not be a walk in the park. In his televised speech, he accused the community organization of serving as a platform to attack his country in collaboration with the foreign army. Several thousand people rallied in Niamey, Niger, in support of the military junta, which announced it is considering a transition of no more than 3 years after threats of the West African military intervention still looms over Niger. Niger's new military ruler said on Saturday that a transition of power will not go beyond 3 years and warned that any attack on the country will not be easy for those involved. The honest warning came after an ECOWAS delegation arrived in the country for a final diplomatic push before deciding whether to take military action against the country's new rulers. In his 12-minute speech, Gianni denounced what he called the illegal and inhumane sanctions imposed by ECOWAS against Niger. He also announced 30 days of national dialogue to draw up a concrete proposals to lay the foundation of new constitutional life. On Saturday, a team for the European Union that is observing the upcoming elections in Zimbabwe denied a report published by a state-run newspaper accusing them of being involved in a bribery scandal. Voters in the South African country, ruled since independence in 1980 by the ruling ZANU-PF party, will vote on August 23 to elect the president, legislators, and local government councils. Citing anonymous sources, the Herald newspaper reported on Friday that EU media team had met with 18 journalists and handed out whiskey and shopping vouchers to influence the journalists to make outlandish claims intended to tarnish the entire electoral process. The EU election observation mission stated that these accusations were based on fabricated rumors. It also described previous attempts to discredit its mission and concluded that such stories were blatant misinformation of the Zimbabwean population. Dozens of mass graves have been discovered in Darfur, Western Sudan, and humanitarian organizations claim they contain more than 1,000 corpses. The announcement was made by Marcelin Redja, Regional Emergency Director of the International Rescue Committee. He affirms that this is one of the bloodiest episodes of violence in the history of the region. Darfur has been, for decades, the scene of heavy ethnic clashes, and now it is aggravated by the conflict that broke out in April between the army and paramilitary groups. Last July, the same organization and other agencies allied with the United Nations and confirmed the discovery of 87 corpses in the same area. In Ethiopia, over 1,400 people have died as a result of the interruption of humanitarian aid agreed by the U.S. International Development Agency USAID. An alleged case of corruption in the distribution of food for the Tigray region led to the decision of the Washington office, which was supporting the World Food Program. According to an investigation coordinated by the acting combination of tech governments, there was evidence of food diversion. Local agency officials are implicated in the corruption scandal and could have affected the life of over 3,000 people. However, USAID's punitive measure has cost the life of some 1,400 people who died of starvation. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.